Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz Interview Series with Boston jazz clarinetist Glenn Dickson. He spoke with Neon Jazz on behalf of his longtime band called Naftule's Dream. This long-running outfit just released a new 2016 album called Blood that has been called emotionally raw with musically fantastic dreamscapes. Over the years, the band has recorded 3 albums for John Zorn's label and received critical praise for its recordings and performances in both North America and Europe. It's a post-klezmer, rock-inspired, free-jazz-tinged group led by Glenn, and he has some great insights not only into the band, but Boston, jazz, and this brand new album, along with much more. So dig this interview, my friends.
Good. Hey, thanks for taking a little bit of time to talk with me today. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
So I know that you have the new album that's out, but I do want to talk about that. But first, give me an idea of kind of what's been going on as far as promotion and things that have been going on with the band.
You know, lately we've mostly been doing local gigs, Boston area, and, you know, we recorded this CD, and we haven't really been getting out as much as we used to, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been pretty mellow because we're all doing a lot of things, you know, but we're still involved in this and love it, so.
This new album, 2016, Naftule's Dream, Blood, talk to me about this. It's been said that it takes the audience through an emotionally raw journey with musically fantastic dreamscapes. Talk to me about this album. Talk to me about how you feel and what went into it.
It was a combination of just the tunes we've been writing in the last few years and, or, you know, several years actually, because we haven't released anything in a while. So the band has this particular sound, so when we write for it, we sort of go for that sound and are working with it. Personally, my things have, you know, I'm always working out of sort of the original idea of the band, which was taking klezmer music and sort of personalizing it with our own stamp. You know, the root of a lot of it is, at least has something to do with klezmer music or Jewish music. Yeah, those are the directions, and it's sort of just our own fantastical journeys and whatever we're thinking about at the moment.
Right on. Speaking of journeys, you've had 3 albums on John Zorn's label, and you've had one other. Talk to me about your career with the band and just kind of how things have evolved to this point in 2016.
Well, the band originally started when, you know, we were all playing in our other band, the traditional band, Shirim, doing traditional klezmer music, and I was writing tunes for that, but it got to the point where they were just going too far out for the audience, especially back at that point, which is in the early 90s. The audiences were getting upset by the stuff we were doing, so we decided we had to split into 2 bands so that people would get confused. Because, you know, people would come up to and yell at us while we were playing. Like, I remember this old guy coming up and saying, "That's not my music," you know, right in the middle of the concert. So we split it up so that we would just have the freedom to write whatever we wanted and just have the freedom to express ourselves. So that's how the band started. It just so happened it was as John Zorn was sort of doing the same thing with his label. So he picked up our first album. We did a lot of touring in the late 90s, early 2000s, going, you know, to Europe a lot and out to Chicago and, you know, along the East Coast. And then, you know, around, I don't know, 2004 or so, 2005, we just slowed down. We're all doing a lot of stuff, families and health issues and different things we had to deal with.
Sure.
And so we've kept it going, you know, more or less. It's been, you know, for a while there we weren't doing too much, and now we're starting to do a little more in the last 2 or 3 years. We've just been playing, again, mostly local gigs and still writing and, you know, and we recorded this album. You know, when we were touring a lot, it was fantastic. I mean, it was amazing. Just a lot of intense music and it was, we really got to, at least for me, it's sort of my dream band, so to speak, in the sense that, you know, everybody, just amazing musicians. We were combining whatever elements we felt like we wanted to combine or put in there. It wasn't contrived. It was sort of an organic growth So to me, that's the best place to be, where you're not trying to please anybody except for yourself, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and that's where it still is. It's not like I don't feel the pressure about it. If we want to do it, we do it, and so that's why, to me, the music is still very organic and has a very emotional feel to it. That's my main thing, is that music has some sort of personal meaning to me. I don't feel penned in.
Sure. Let me ask you this. What instruments do you play, and talk to me about the other guys in the band?
I play clarinet. We have an accordion player, Michael McLaughlin, who splits the writing chores. He and I write almost all the material. We have a cornet player, Gary Bohan. He actually wrote one tune on this album. And we have a tuba player, monster tuba player, Jim Gray. And then we have Eric Rosenthal, drummer, fantastic drummer, and Andrew Stern, who plays guitar, electric guitar. So it's sort of an odd instrumentation, but it's been our instrumentation pretty much the whole time. Although before Gary joined us, we had a trombone in the rather than trumpet, cornet. The four of us, me, the drummer, and Michael, the accordion player, and the tuba player, have been playing together forever, since the early 90s. So we really know each other's music really well, and aesthetics and everything.
Right on. The thing about the clarinet that always strikes me when I hear it in a jazz sense, especially live, is it has to be one of the happiest sounds in a band. So tell me this, what do you like the most about playing the clarinet?
Playing the clarinet, to me, it's the greatest instrument. Well, one, it has a very wide range, so you can play like the dark, low notes and sort of get a whole mood down there. Then you have the mid-range, which is very, bright and happier. And then you have the high range, which is good for, screaming and all sorts of stuff. And plus, the pitch is very flexible, so you can do a lot of very vocal inflections with it. So it's just a very versatile instrument in that way. So it's just got a lot going for it. And in klezmer music, plus you can growl and do all sorts of things. So in klezmer music and what we're doing, I'm just able to exploit all the aspects of the instrument, just with all the inflections of sort of vocal style of playing.
So did you grow up in Boston?
I grew up in Virginia, right outside Washington, D.C. I went to college here, conservatory, and have been here since the early 80s.
I'm always interested, here in Kansas City, obviously we're known for Charlie Parker, but we have a pretty thriving jazz scene, and I hear about Chicago and New York and all kinds of scenes. What's going on in Boston? How do you feel about the scene? What's the greatest thing about the jazz scene in Boston?
Because of Berkeley and the music schools, there's a lot of music going on, and a lot of, for all the faculty that are working there, it gives them a place to make a living.
Yeah.
and they can play out. So there's a lot of amazing musicians here that are just around and playing. The club scene is good. I think like everywhere, it's sort of fallen off. Although the jazz scene, jazz clubs, there's still some strong stuff going on. And for us, sort of like the freer music, less pigeonholed, non-traditional jazz or improvisation music, there's still venues and a good network or community of people that are into it. And so there's just the whole spectrum of music is here in force. And there are venues, It's our band is probably like one of the toughest bands to book, just because it's not, it doesn't really fit into a regular jazz venue very well, and it doesn't fit into a rock venue, and so it's a very difficult band. A couple of weeks ago, we played it at like basically a rock club, and it was cool. They had sort of a night where they had a little more eccentric bands, and we played on that bill.
Well, you had mentioned that, before the band kind of split into different genres, that people were getting upset. You clearly have done really good. You've gotten a lot of praise for what you've done here in this country and in Europe. and you play a lot of festivals. Let me ask you this. As a band, what has been one of the nicest compliments you guys have been paid?
Well, I mean, I like the fact people have commented that, you know, especially on John Zorn's label, he has a lot of he's gotten a lot of people who don't do Jewish music to do sort of Jewish albums. We sort of have come from the other direction. So a lot of the stuff he's released is people from the outside sort of coming in to try to make something Jewish, and for us, it's sort of been an organic growth. It's been totally natural. We sort of started playing Jewish music, and although we all have done other stuff, we've, you know, for example, we've played thousands of weddings and bar mitzvahs, you know, over the years. So we really know the music inside and out in its sort of functional aspect and historic. You know, we have a good sense of what it's all about. So, you know, some people have just complimented us, saying that, you know, commented on that we're sort of from the inside going out instead of the outside coming into the music. So I like that aspect of what we do. And, you know, I mean, people have compared us to all sorts of things, and that's nice.
Yeah.
You know, to all sorts of artists that I totally admire. So that's always great.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of, you know, people have compared us to, like, Frank Zappa and Ivo Papazov and whatever, you know, all these different people, and it's like, yeah, those are some of my heroes, you know. So
yeah,
it's nice to have been put in at least the same sentence as them.
Absolutely. No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Let me ask you this. Yeah. Let me ask you this. It's something that I usually ask individuals, but I'm going to ask this of the band. There's always a perception from people of who you are, your business associates, your family, friends, people in the crowd when you play. But who do you think you are as a band? How would you describe who you are as a band?
Who we are as a band. Yeah, that's harder than as individuals. I mean, as a band, you know, we've been playing together so long that we're like just good friends, you know, and we just get together and chew the fat and have a good time together, and we all have a lot of, we're all, you know, they're all great musicians, and we're all sort of really living musical lives, so we're all, and we all are, you know, very involved in families and all that, so it's hard to say as a group what we are. It's just like a bunch of friends, really, at this point, who've played together so long. We just know what to do with each other. You know?
Sure. No, that's a great definition.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. We've managed to remain friends, you know.
Yeah, that's good. That's
and
enjoy
a hard each other and we're generous with each other, you know. We give each other a hard time, but we all understand where everybody's coming from. So
this is my final question about your newest album. What do you want the listener to get from this album? How do you want them to feel when they're done listening to this album?
It took me a while to release this album because I was sort of mystified by it myself. I'm feeling better about it now, you know, that it's out and people are listening to it and saying, oh, yeah, that's cool. You know, I don't know how people should react to it. From day one with this band, I've always thought, wow, what do people think when they hear us? I can't really imagine, you know. It's sort of an amalgam of so many different things. And to me, I guess the main thing is that they hear something that's sincere, you know, not contrived, and that comes that really represents us as people and intellects, and, you know, because to me the amazing thing about music is you can't really hide behind it. It really represents all sides of your personality and your intellect and your emotional self, you know, it all gets into the music. So I hope that that's what's apparent, you know, who we are and how we think, you know.
Yeah, right on.
And that it
Nailed
connects, the main thing is that it connects emotionally somehow with people, which it seems to do,
Glenn, thank you for opening up about this album, about your band, and giving me a little bit of your time. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it. Hey, thanks for calling, Joe.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to yet another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players in New York, Boston, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Glenn for his time, his stories, and all that music. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino on the iTunes Store, or visit theneonjazz.blogspot.com for all things Neon Jazz. Until next time, enjoy the music, my friends.
Neon Jazz.